Welcome to those out there, Oasis clients. We're really happy to introduce a new partner for Oasis, Commonwealth. They offer a retirement savings program called Common Good, which is specifically tailored to not-for-profits. So certainly that's our target audience at Oasis. So I'm going to introduce Connor Bays. Connor is going to present today, and he'll be able to answer questions as he goes or at the end. And we have just under an hour. So please feel free to ask your questions as you go. And I'll turn it over to Connor. Connor, thanks so much for doing this for us today.
Well, thank you very much, Karen, and excited to be here in front of the Oasis group and to be working with Karen, Brent, and the team to help fill a need for the folks in the Oasis community. And yeah, really excited to share with you the Common Good Plan and how it helps nonprofits and their employees. As Karen mentioned, my name's Connor. I'm one of the employer solutions and product leads for Common Good. I'm going to tell you a bit about the plan itself and the background for it, which we think is pretty unique and exciting, and then really show you how this could be a better benefit or help solve some of the challenges that you might be facing if you're the leader of a nonprofit, and provide something that helps you attract, retain, take care of employees in a way that's improves things for you as the employer, as well as for your workers working in the space or in the sector. As Karen said, we have a full hour. We probably won't need the full hour unless there are a lot of questions. I'm going to try and give you both the background and kind of an overview of Common Good, how it works. I'll actually show you the member and employer experience of the plan to give you a real tangible sense of how it works. Talk about some next steps if you're interested in implementing this or moving to Common Good from a plan you might have already. And that'll take me about 30 minutes or so. We'll have plenty of time for questions. If you have questions as we go through, don't hesitate to pop them in the Q&A box. We'll either answer them at the end, or if it makes sense to do it in stream, we might do that as well if it's something that's more timely for what's on the screen. So without further ado, I will get going and start walking you through it. So, starting with the why, why are we here talking about this today? Why does this matter to you if you are in the leadership position at a nonprofit, in an Oasis member organization? The thing we always like to start with is just how important retirement can be as a benefit to help solve some of the challenges your organization or your not-for-profit might be facing. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time here, but I just want to highlight that the research says a better retirement plan, or any retirement plan if you don't offer one today, can be one of the most effective tools to help solve some of those people or HR human resource challenges. And this is something really important to the not-for-profit sector, right? Often the groups that we work with are dealing with fairly competitive situations for top talent. It's a sector that maybe has a reputation for creating a trade-off for doing work that is good and positive for society versus being able to offer competitive benefits around pay, but also around something like a retirement plan. And the data really bears out that a good retirement plan can be a powerful tool to build that organizational resilience when it comes to attracting and retaining great employees. The information I'm showing you on the screen right now comes from a survey that Mara Matchbox did on behalf of HOOP, the Healthcare of Ontario Pension Plan, back in 2021. And that found that retirement benefits among employers who offer them, so that's the kind of data set used here, were actually rated in terms of recruitment the #1 benefit in terms of recruiting good employees, ahead of things like health, dental, and life insurance. So those are still very important. And #2 for retention, right after pay. So part of why we think this is an important thing to focus on, and something in terms of a talking point to equip you with, is your retirement plan might be an underused resource for recruitment, retention, and taking care of your employees. And really what we want to give you today is a solution to take better advantage of that great tool, or that opportunity you have to build your organizational resilience. This page is a bit of an eye chart, but really the message here is that's the opportunity side we looked at on the previous page. A lot of retirement plans in the market today, especially for a mid-size or a smaller employer, which is the main target kind of audience for Common Good, really employers with 1,000 employees down to 5 or 10. That's what we mean when we say small or mid-size. Often the call it typical retirement plan for that type of employer misses that opportunity to help employees to create something engaging, useful, easy to use, and something that we'll often do in partnership with employers that we're working with, and folks like Brent and Karen at Oasis have a lot of expertise in this on the benefits side. Similarly, with group retirement, you want to look at those key indicators of your plan health. And we offer here some of the categories in which we want to measure the effectiveness of a group plan. And these are sort of the areas for improvement that we often see if you're providing a retirement plan today. Usually this is going to be with a big insurance company, sometimes a bank. And we really encourage you to look at the health of your plan in these 5 areas. These are the areas where, when we talk about the Common Good Plan, we see a big opportunity to improve how things are done, improve the performance of the plan that you have today. Or if you don't have a plan, give you something that kind of meets the bar in these 5 areas. So just to give you a quick tour of what we often like to look at, these are things like member engagement and retirement planning, right? Are your employees actually using the program? Is it helping them with the core objective, which is preparing for retirement? Is it engaging? The next one's digital experience and technology. So this is really around, is it easy to use? Is it streamlined? Is it straightforward? This is an area where a lot of the kind of legacy providers in this space really struggle in terms of offering something kind of old school and clunky and hard to use. Service is a big one. So if you're an employer, you want to make sure that the service offered to you is responsive, that your needs are met, that you can get help when you need it quickly. And then the last 2 are investments and fees. We'll probably talk more about investments, but obviously it's a critical area for group savings plans. And then fees are a simple one. We'll talk more about this, but the short story is, if you're not a big employer, often the costs and fees that your employees pay are far too high. And this is an area where Common Good is intended to help nonprofit employees in that area as well. So, I'm going to touch on all these and how the Common Good Plan, as something built specifically for nonprofits, is intended to help you improve your plan in these areas. And I'll talk at the end about how we can actually help give you a bit of a report card on these too if you have a plan today. So I'll talk a little bit now about the background for Common Good. Really, Common Good is a plan for nonprofits designed for the needs of nonprofit workers and the employers who employ them. And it's designed to be a plan that helps you improve those 5 areas we looked at. So I'm going to give you a bit of an overview and a kind of high-level view of how that can be the case and how it works. So in terms of the plan itself, Karen mentioned the Commonwealth. So Commonwealth is where I work. We are the plan provider for Common Good. So Common Good is powered by the Commonwealth platform. We are a business that runs group retirement plans focused on mid-size and smaller businesses. And we are the fastest growing group provider in the space. So Common Good, as a specific plan built for nonprofits, benefits from our platform that is really quite innovative in the field of group savings and retirement. It's a bit different, and we would argue better than that traditional RSP or DC pension or TFSA that's with a traditional insurance company or bank. And one thing I'll just highlight here, not to go into too much detail on Commonwealth, but the platform that underlies Common Good has received quite a bit of recognition for providing that better solution in the group retirement space. For example, our platform was the recipient of the Pensions and Investments World Pension Summit Award in Technology last year, as well as several others that you see here. So really a kind of best-in-class innovative platform that powers the plan for nonprofits, which is Common Good. Very importantly, Common Good is a plan and an initiative really that is of the nonprofit sector as well. So in addition to Commonwealth as the kind of technology and plan provider underpinning Common Good, the program is supported by a coalition of nonprofits and not-for-profit funders who are supporting the education and growth of the plan. I think this was really an area that resonated with the Oasis board and with Karen and her team, that this is really a plan designed for nonprofits and has been designed with the support and input from the sector itself. So for example, the kind of outreach work that we do to nonprofits like Oasis members is supported by a coalition of funders who pay for some of that outreach and education, groups like the Hamilton Community Foundation or the Atkinson Foundation. the Credit Union Vancity out in the West Coast there. Also, the United Ways are an official supporter, United Ways of Canada. And the plan also has a steering committee that's composed of sector leaders. So for example, Alan Broadbent here on the page, he's the chairman and founder of Maitri. We have Owen, who's the CEO of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Canada. Rahima, who is the chief people officer, really brings that HR lens from the non-for-profit sector. She's at the YMCAs of Greater Toronto. And then Liz Mulholland, who's the CEO of Prosper, which is a nonprofit focused on retirement literacy and education. So there is a broader kind of movement behind this plan to help really create something that meets the needs of mid-size and smaller nonprofits, and particularly with a focus on the education and engaging your employees, which I'm going to talk about more in a second. Most folks with Oasis, I'm guessing, are going to be based in Ontario, but if you do choose to offer Common Good or transition an existing plan to Common Good, you'll be joining a coalition of more than 100 nonprofits across the province and the country who are offering this plan with great success. And just some examples, we'll call it here on the right-hand side, Canadian Alliance to End Homelessness, the Gerstein Crisis Center here in Toronto, Autism Ontario are some of the groups providing this plan. But there really is a wide range, not just in the community sector, but across environmental groups, education charities, First Nations, you name it. There's quite a broad coalition. And I'd say what unifies the employers offering Common Good is a desire to offer something more effective that helps employees, but while making it a plan that's easy to administer and building the resilience of the nonprofit organization itself. So how does it work? I'm going to touch on some of the highlights, some of the key features of Common Good, and then I'm actually going to show you a little bit of how the plan works itself. So I'm going to start with a little bit on the member experience. Something that's quite unique about Common Good is it's really going to address that member planning and education element in quite a unique way. And in fact, as you'll see when I give you a quick member demo in a second, Common Good will actually help every one of your employees create a true retirement plan in conjunction with a financial wellness program that essentially combines personalized planning built into the platform with expert education to help make sure each and every one of your employees has a plan to reach retirement and puts the employer benefit, whether it's an RSP or a TFSA or a DC pension plan, put that into context and help them understand how your employer plan really fits into that picture. Service, we mentioned at the top of the conversation here, something that's really important. This is often a big gap, and you may have experienced this yourself if you're at an organization that offers a group RSP or other retirement plan. A lot of the market today for group plans really struggles to serve a mid-size employer. So unless you have 10 million in assets or several hundred or more employees, it can be really challenging to get good service for your plan. And so Common Good's really designed around delivering that service for that mid-size or smaller employer. What that looks like in practice is if you move your plan to Common Good or implement Common Good, if you're starting a plan for the first time, you can expect a dedicated Ontario-based support team that responds to your needs. You're actually going to have two members of that team that are specific to you and your implementations. You have a person you can call if you need help. We have a high standard for timely and responsive service. So some stats here on the nature of that service model. And then, in conjunction with that high touch service for implementation and admin support, we also have digital tools that make it much easier for you to run your plan. And I'll show you a little bit of how that works when we get to the demo component as well. Talking briefly about fees, this one's really straightforward. Part of Common Good typically is creating a more competitive fee for your employees. So what this looks like in practice is typically no additional cost for you as the employer. If you're offering an RSP plan, for example, to your employees today, you can offer that exact same kind of structure of the plan through Common Good, same matching level, same kind of plan design if you'd like to keep it what it is today. However, you can typically expect a fairly significant improvement in the member fees. Often it's something like 30 to 50% lower than a typical plan offered through, say, a life insurance company or a bank. So we do have the ability to custom quote. If you have a plan today, we really encourage you to get in touch with us and we can tell you what that fee would be for your employees if you share some information. Or if you're starting a plan for the first time, We have some standard kind of member fees we can share with you. But the headline number here is expect some improvement in the fees, which puts more money in your employees' pockets. Just to illustrate that with some example math, using a example of a plan with $1 million in assets, so not a huge plan, but some existing savings, comparing a typical common good fee of around 1.25% to a typical insurance company fee of around 1.8 or 1.85. You can see that after 1 year, that's $8,000 in fees saved for your employees. You model it out for 10 years, not an unreasonable time frame for a typical group plan. You're looking at several hundred thousands of dollars in fee savings, which goes straight into your employees' pockets, right? Because typically it is the employee who is paying the fees. It's kind of included in their investment management charge. Really, really important to keep an eye on fees. It's one of the top ways that you as an employer can make sure that you get maximum value and bang for buck from the investment you're making in your plan. Briefly on investments. So offering a streamlined evidence-based investing with world-class managers is the name of the game here. I'll show you what this looks like in practice. In a nutshell, the investment approach for Common Good is centered on target date funds, which is the most common sort of fund type in group plans. If you offer a retirement plan today, you likely have target date funds in there, likely as the default. And then in addition to that target date default, we also have what we call build my own portfolio, which gives some flexibility to employees who, for whatever reason, don't want a default approach, want to do their own thing. And so Common Good is not an investment manager. Commonwealth is not, as the kind of underlying platform. We select world-class managers and whose funds are offered as the investment options on the plan. And so for that, we have selected BlackRock as the target date fund offering. Reasons we like BlackRock: they are the world's largest investment manager. They're the biggest in the world. They manage over $9 trillion in retirement funds and other funds globally. They invented target date funds, and they're the only index-based provider in Canada. Some reasons why we've selected BlackRock. And then for those build my own portfolio investment options, which I'll show you in the member demo in a second, the provider there that we've selected is RBC Global Investment Management, and specifically their PH&N Institutional. And similar to the BlackRock story, PH&N and RBC is the largest Canadian investment manager with that kind of expert institutional perspective. The investments for Common Good do undergo an annual review. We have an external investment committee who advise Commonwealth on that lineup. So quite a lot of thought goes into the investment side, but this has worked quite well for our plan members and is something that's centered on evidence and performance as well. Last piece I'll talk about is just the communication education. So this is something that having a plan built specifically for nonprofits and the nonprofit sector really shines in the education and how you communicate your plan to your employees and help them understand the value of it, as well as get assistance with their program. So we have a lot of experience, the team here, on implementing or transitioning a retirement plan. We'll customize those communications for your workforce. There are some specific things that apply to nonprofit employees, particularly those on more modest incomes, which folks in this group might have large numbers of those modest earning employees. And in addition to a great platform that's going to help deliver kind of planning help right in the member experience for your employees, we do offer quite a bit of extra support around that as well. And that looks like sort of one-to-many type of tools. So things like webinars that we can do for the Common Good employee base. But in addition to that, something that's quite unique about Common Good is we also offer on-demand one-on-one appointments for your employees that they can book online. So things like guided enrollments, plan reviews, transition support meetings, or folks entering retirement, giving them one-on-one support as well. Employees can book that, meet with a specialist one-on-one, and really get that help they might need on an individualized basis. Finally, before I jump to a demo and show you how this all comes together in a kind of live demonstration of the platform, we know that people might think a retirement plan is complicated, and especially moving a plan where it's in place today with an insurance company or a bank, you might be worried that it's going to be a fair amount of administrative headache or work to make that transition. And so what I want to emphasize here is that we have worked very, very hard to make both an implementation, if it's a new plan, if you don't have one today and you want to implement a retirement plan, or if you want to transfer and do a bulk kind of shift from a legacy plan to Common Good, we've worked very hard to make that a seamless, easy, what we call engineered experience. And we have done, as we mentioned, hundreds of these. So we know the steps that work best for employers. Really three key buckets that happen to set up your plan with Common Good. This is guided by that two-person team. Takes about 4 to 6 weeks on average. We give you templates and tools to use along the way to make it very easy for you. So things like announcing your plan to employees. We're going to run an education session that a Common Good educator will deliver for your employees to help them understand the plan, learn about it, understand the reasons for making a transition from a legacy plan to Common Good, for example. And then we're going to support your payroll process as well, and make that minutes per payroll to run your plan. The feedback we get is it's often a significant improvement in terms of both the service and the amount of time required to administer Common Good versus a legacy plan with a big insurance company or bank that you might have it with today. So we've covered kind of the highlights on the slides here, but nothing is better than actually showing you how this works and giving you a view of both the employer and member experience that you would actually see if you offer Common Good through a live demo. So I'm going to jump from my PowerPoint deck here and open up my web browser and give you a sense of what this looks like in the platform itself. So as I was describing on the previous page, helping you administer your plan is a big component of the value of Common Good and making it easier for employers to offer a retirement plan and run it. And so what I'm showing you here is just an illustration of that. This is my employer dashboard, where if I am the person administering payroll at your organization, I'm going to come here to run my plan with Common Good. I won't spend a lot of time here because it is a very simple process to administer a plan. If you know anything about how this works, you'll know the kind of data transfer involved. We really work to simplify and streamline the steps required from the person at your organization who might be running payroll or administering the plan today. So the things we'll mention here is a fully digital process. It's tied to your payroll system. So no matter which payroll provider you're using, for example, ADP or Ceridian or Payworks or whatever you're using to run payroll, that's going to be tied to your Common Good plan, and we're going to help you administer your plan in conjunction with your payroll. So for example, I'm going to come to my employer dashboard to do things like add or update my employee list for new hires or for terminations. I'm going to see employee requests come through here. Oh, just got to log back in here. So if I have employees who want to change their contribution levels, so say I'm offering an RRSP plan, my employee wants to go from 5% to 4%, I can see those requests come through here so I can reflect them in my payroll system. And then the last thing is once per payroll, you're going to come here and actually run contributions. All that means is a simple file upload, and Common Good will deduct the full amount of contributions from your employer bank account and route them to employee RSP or TFSA, or if you have a DC pension accounts once per payroll period. So the name of the game here is simplicity, streamlined. About 3 to 5 minutes per payroll is the estimated time required to administer your Common Good plan and run it from the employer perspective. So now I'm going to jump over to the employee side and show you a little bit of what your employees receive in terms of that kind of 10-minute plan for life that we want to help them set up, that drives up employee engagement and helps them solve some of their planning challenges when it comes to retirement as well. So I'm going to start here in my email inbox as an employee. I already mentioned that as part of rolling out the plan, if you're offering Common Good or transitioning to it from a legacy plan, we're really going to work to help you educate your employees, help you deliver an announcement so they understand the change that's happening. We'll run that education session, which I mentioned, which can be customized to your workforce. And the evening before that education session, each of your employees is going to receive an email that looks a little something like this, inviting them to enroll and create their account with Common Good. Many employees will just go ahead and do it. It's totally self-serve if they want it to be. If I click this Enroll Now button, I'm going to go through the enrollment and do it on my own if I want. One thing I'll highlight, which I mentioned in the earlier part of the presentation, is employees have the option to receive quite a bit of custom or one-on-one support if they would like it. And you'll see that surfaced here right in the enrollment email. If I want to get help with enrollment, I can register for a guided enrollment. And this is going to open a scheduling tool that's tied to the calendars of our service team, which is Ontario based, so they're local. And I can actually book an appointment at a time of my choosing to sit with a plan specialist. This can be education, how does an RSP work, or a TFSA. It can be more direct around how do I get enrolled, or I've lost my password, whatever it is. We really want to minimize the burden on you as the employer for running your plan and help your employees get one-on-one help if and when they need it. Most employees, though, are going to go ahead and click this big Enroll Now button, and that's going to take them into the core of the experience. And what Common Good is going to do, which I mentioned off the top, is quite uniquely, we're going to help every single one of your employees who enrolls come out the other side of the enrollment with a first draft of their retirement plan. The goal for us is to make your plan more helpful, more engaging, something employees want to keep using even if they leave the organization or retire. This is really intended to be the plan for life that helps solve those retirement planning challenges for your employees and makes the benefit you offer more valuable. So the first thing we're going to do at enrollment here for this employee enrolling for the first time is help them to calculate what we call the target retirement income. So it's going to take my age, so say I'm 43 in this example. It's going to ask me when I plan to retire. Default here is going to be 65, but I can edit that or change it if I'd like. And it's going to ask me to confirm my annual income before tax. So say I'm earning $60,000 a year. If I'm a salaried employee, I would enter that. If I'm on an hourly wage, I would just multiply that across the year to give an estimate of my annual pre-tax income. What the system is going to do with that information is help that employee create a present dollar estimate of how much money they're likely to need each month in retirement to maintain their current living standard. So this is telling me that as a 43-year-old retiring at 65, earning $60,000 a year, I should expect to need around $3,500 per month each month in retirement to fund the same level of lifestyle I have today. One thing I'll mention about this is that Common Good is unique in terms of creating a customized experience for every employee, no matter their income or their stage or the bracket that they're in. So if, for example, I'm a significantly higher earner, maybe I'm on the leadership team and I'm earning $100,000, you'll see that my target updates automatically. And actually the retirement planning kind of math and assumptions we're using under the hood are also adjusting and changing based on the needs or the profile of the employee who's going through the process. All of the projections or kind of planning math that your employees or you will see in the platform come from third-party sources like the Financial Planning Standards Council and other sources. If you ever want to see how we do the math here, or what the research is driving some of these assumptions, you can click this link and you'll see, if you're curious about what rates of return we use for our assumptions, I can, for example, see that here. Those come from FP Canada. Same thing for government benefits, for longevity. Any of the math you can sort of look at and understand how these are generated if you want. Most employees, though, are simply going to enter their income, set that target retirement goal, and in the next couple steps, we're going to help them understand how they're going to reach that goal with the help of their employer and their employer benefit. So the next step is really helping me understand how I'm doing today. So we've set that retirement income goal. Now we want to help understand if I've done any saving, how far along that savings path have I gotten to date? So here we're going to ask the employee to enter any existing savings they might have already. And a lot of your employees may be in this boat where, for example, I might have started saving with a previous workplace plan. So I have some money sitting in the kind of personal plan from that terminated employer. So maybe I have some money there. Maybe I have some money in the TFSA or tax-free savings account with my bank that I'm intending to use for retirement. RIF if I'm retired, I won't get into that. Registered pension or any other savings, employees can enter it here. And with that data, we're going to take that information and help the employee understand how many dollars each month in retirement can they expect from those existing savings. So we're projecting forward, we're looking ahead, applying those kind of planning assumptions to help me see that in this example for me here, I've saved $40,000 already. Based on my age and when I plan to retire, I can expect to draw down or have $240 per month of my needs met from those existing savings. One thing that we'll highlight is just by kind of a side note here, if you have employees who have outside savings and who want to move them into your group plan with Common Good, they can absolutely do that. You will get a lot of employees asking, based on the lower fee, based on the investments that are more institutional, based on the experience, this may be a much better place for employees' savings than their bank or an insurance company that's going to charge them much higher fees, for example. They are more than welcome to move these funds into their Common Good plan and take advantage of your buying power as the employer to get a better deal for their existing savings, which they're more than welcome to do. Last step on the planning side before we look at contributions. This is a really critical one for almost every not-for-profit employee, really every Canadian who's working, but in some ways, nonprofit employees are even more impacted by this. And that's factoring in government benefits. So the story here is that your employees or you can't really answer questions like, how am I doing? Am I on track? What's my employer plan worth to me when it comes to retirement planning and saving? None of that makes any sense unless you account for the three key government programs of Old Age Security or OAS, Guaranteed Income Supplement or GIS, which is a top-up for modest earning workers, and Canada Pension Plan or CPP, which most folks are likely at least somewhat familiar with. And so what we're going to do is, because we have the information that the employees entered, or we have some of their demographic information, we can actually help give your employees a estimate of what they can expect from these government programs when they reach retirement. If you've ever tried to do this on your own, it's actually pretty challenging to find this. And there might be a page on the CRA website somewhere where you can run a calculator and do this. We want to make it much easier for employees to understand how these benefits fit in. So for example, this 42-year-old earning around $60,000 a year, she's going to expect around $610 each month from Old Age Security when she reaches retirement. And if I'm interested here, I can actually see what's the impact of deferring that benefit. We do have the option to take it later or earlier. So there's some neat planning tools built right into the experience here. But the important thing is I can see, how many dollars can I expect from this mandatory government program at the age when I plan to start taking that benefit. If you have some newcomers on your team, we're going to account for that here. So we've assumed here that I've been working in Canada since the age of 18. If I haven't, if I moved here 10 years ago or whenever, I would update this number, and that would adjust the math a little bit, because these are the benefits are based in terms of how many years you've been contributing or working in Canada. And then same thing for CPP or Canada Pension Plan. This is often a big light bulb moment for your employees. Very few Canadians understand how impactful Canada Pension Plan is going to be for them. Your employees might have seen that deduction on their pay stub for CPP every pay period, and they might be thinking of it as another kind of tax or something they pay to the government they never see again. Whereas the reality is, it's a pretty valuable benefit that your employee or you are going to get every single month, no matter how long you live, from CPP. And for this person, again, 42-year-old earning $60,000, you can see it's quite a big number. Almost $1,400 every single month in present dollar terms are going to come from CPP. So if I combine those two things together, you're seeing here that we've added the kind of combined OAS and CPP to this bar chart we're building for me. Government benefits are going to be more than half of my retirement income in the case of this kind of upper middle earner. And this will be even bigger for your modest earning employees. So in about 3 clicks here, all we've done is enter my income, my existing savings, and hit next. We've helped your employee answer, what's the goal? How much am I going to need? And now I have a view of how much work I have to do left to get there, right? This is basically saying, if I retired today, or pardon me, if I kept working and retired at 65, but didn't take action today to save more and add to my savings, the best data says I would retire and be about $1,260 a month short of what I'm likely to need to maintain my living standard. So this is where your group plan is going to become the hero of the story. We really want to give you as the employer credit for offering that contribution to get your employees started or get them contributing. And this is where that's going to be surfaced for me, the employee. So we can accommodate really any plan design that you have today or that you want to have. Different groups, it's very common for employers to have a certain level of contribution or matching for new employees versus those with more tenure, or management versus non-management. The plan can accommodate really any design you want to have. The employee will see whatever matching or contribution they are eligible for. So I can see here that I am getting offered 5% in terms of a match from my employer, each pay 5% of my salary, pretty common structure in the nonprofit sector. And I'm nudged to take full advantage of that. It's going to break down for me, what that looks like. So for me, that's about 115 per pay coming from me, with my employer matching it dollar for dollar. I can choose to do more or less. So you might have employees who want to do less. We'll actually show them the impact in terms of losing out on some of those matching dollars if it is a match. Or employees can choose to contribute more. And something we'll really emphasize in terms of the education to your employees is you might want to use this plan for more than just the match. It is intended to be that plan for life. It's portable. You can keep using it even if you leave your employer. And the idea is, get you closer to those retirement income needs. And so just jumping ahead, what we're going to do is actually show each employee the impact of your retirement plan. My employer, the plan my nonprofit offers is helping me get closer to those retirement income needs. And I can see here that with the help of my employer, by enrolling and contributing and joining this plan, I've made significant progress towards my needs. And, I might still have a gap. You're seeing that here, that this employee still has some work left to do. But I can chip away at that over time, right? So employees can make tax time contributions. They can contribute a bonus to this plan. They can add a TFSA contribution voluntarily. Lots of ways that, as this kind of portable plan for life, Common Good can help them close that gap entirely, and ideally make sure they do have enough income at the end of the day when they start to use this money to fund their income in retirement. Last thing I'll mention in terms of account types, we've been talking a bit about this throughout the piece here, but various different structures we can offer in terms of accounts offered or plan design. Most common, I'd say, is RRSP, Group RRSP. That may be the type of plan many of you have already at your organization. We also support TFSA. We have RIF for members who are in retirement, as well as we're currently rolling out DC pension as well. So lots of different account types you can offer, or match, mirror if you're looking to transition an existing plan to Common Good. And whatever accounts you offer, it's one enrollment for your employees. So a complaint we often hear from employers who offer a plan with an insurance company today is often because of kind of legacy technology issues. It's a very clunky member experience. You got to enroll in the RSP and then enroll in the member portal separately, and then enroll in the TFSA if you want a TFSA after that. We're going to offer your employees one seamless experience. And on top of that, we can actually give them advice and guidance and nudges along the way to help make sure they make good decisions with their the plan they're setting up. One example of that I'll mention here is that if you have a lot of modest earners in your workforce, typically we define that as people earning around $50,000 a year or less, it can actually be really powerful for those folks to use the TFSA, or tax-free savings account, instead of the RSP. And the reason for that is the TFSA helps them avoid having taxable income when they take the money out in retirement. And that's helpful because it helps them keep more income-tested government benefits, like the Guaranteed Income Supplement. So by saving within a TFSA instead of an RSP, that modest earner can avoid a clawback of 50 to 75 cents of a dollar of government benefits they would have otherwise received. You can educate on that all day long. You can tell employees about it, but nothing is more powerful than simply having a default built into your plan that says, if we detect someone's in that group that might benefit from using the TFSA, simply suggest they start their plan there, right? And our platform can actually nudge that person to start with TFSA. Typically, they can always edit it, But if they want to, they can be nudged towards that account type that might be significantly better for them in terms of optimizing benefits. Last piece here before I kind of wrap up is the investment piece. And so the idea here is balancing a strong default and a kind of best practice approach that centers on target date funds, which we already talked about, plus some flexibility for employers who do want to offer a more customized approach for employees. It's quite straightforward. So I mentioned that the fund approach used is a target date approach. Anyone on this call who offers a group retirement plan is likely very familiar with this in terms of how target date funds work. But for those who are new to this, essentially a target date fund is a portfolio that is optimized for a specific planned retirement date. And so that's how that fund is going to be suggested to the employee. You can see here that because I'm in my mid-40s, I'm retiring around the year 2045. So the fund or portfolio suggested for me is the 2045 fund tied to when I plan to start using my funds. Of course, I can select something different, but you are going to see likely around 90% or even more than that of your employees are going to take the default, which is why it's so important to have a good data-driven, best class default fund for your employees. And then just very quickly, why are target date funds considered the appropriate gold standard for group plans? Essentially, these portfolios help your employees do two things automatically that a lot of folks struggle to do. And so the first thing is getting diversification. So within my investment fund here, under the hood, so to speak, I have a wide range of stocks, bonds, real estate, and infrastructure investments. There's over 10,000 different underlying holdings within each fund, but I get all of it in kind of one portfolio, so I don't have to do that diversification myself. And the second reason target date funds are considered the best practice for a group plan is they help the employees adjust risk automatically over time. Quite simply, what that looks like is when I am younger, so I'm in my early 40s here, I likely want to have more of my investments in higher growth, but also higher risk asset classes like stocks. They tend to grow faster, but they also go up and down with greater frequency. And as I age, I actually want to have less risk in my portfolio. Essentially, as I get closer to using my funds or drawing down my savings, I want to make sure that I have taken some of that volatility or some of that risk off the table. In practice, this means growing the bond or fixed income part of my portfolio. What makes target date funds so powerful is this happens completely automatically for the member. Every single year that my money is invested in that fund, the mixture of investments under the hood is going to gradually get more conservative so that by the time I need to use those savings, I'm not exposed to too much risk or risk that the market takes a downturn and I have to lock in some of those losses or don't have the money I need. So simple, powerful. As I mentioned, there is a more customized option for employees if they want to do their own thing. But this approach has proven to work very well in the group context and is used by most best-in-class plans. So that's really it in terms of setting up my plan. I'm going to confirm the plan I've created. I'm going to hit save and continue, terms and conditions, and that's everything your employee needs to do to enroll. Once they've done so, they do have this plan for life. It's portable. I can keep using it. My fee stays competitive even if I move on from you as the employer. I can contribute for my bank account. So there's lots of tools to help the employee continue using this and chip away at adding to that retirement income target. But the idea is they do have that kind of best-in-class plan for life that makes the best advantage possible of the investment you're making in terms of employer dollars. So I'm going to stop there, and maybe I'll actually close before we get to any other questions that are coming in here with a little bit on next steps. So we've covered kind of the highlights of Common Good today. This is an option for you for your plan if you have one. Any kind of defined contribution or RSP plan or TFSA plan can be moved to Common Good. If you're thinking about setting up a plan, this is a great option as well. And if you are interested in this, we have a couple options or things that would be the call to action coming out of today. Probably number one is that if you're interested, we encourage you to set up a consultation with a Common Good specialist. We have a booking tool with which you can do that. I think it will be sent around after the call today. I'm going to pop it in the chat as well for anyone who is interested and wants to evaluate the plan or learn more. And the other thing is that if you have an existing plan already, if you're offering a RSP plan or a defined contribution pension or TFSA plan today, one other service that we offer that you're more than welcome to take advantage of is we can create what we call a retirement plan report card that will look at some metrics and some of the things about your existing plan, like the fee, like the investments offered, and give you a sense of what the opportunity might be to improve that plan. Because we do have a lot of interest in folks moving from a legacy insurance offering to common good. A lot of great reasons to do that, but we can give you an assessment of where those opportunities might be. And so with that, I will open it up for any other questions folks have. Please go ahead and pop them in the Q&A. If you're interested and quite specifically have a plan to improve your retirement plan, or you found this interesting in any way, please go ahead and book that consultation. We have folks who are expert at kind of evaluating plans, helping you understand the ins and outs, and what it would look like to actually transition to common good or set it up for the first time if it's a new plan. Okay, so someone asked, is the offering for group plans only, or are there individual plans available? It is a group arrangement, so we are focused on serving an employer. I would encourage you, if you're interested in this plan and you are more of an individual, to get in touch with your employer and maybe encourage them to look at this if you'd like to get access. It is something that we're thinking about making more widely available or finding ways to offer to folks who are working on their own. So stay tuned for that as well, I'd say, for the person asking, because there are ways to enable folks who don't have an employer to also join a plan like this. And we're looking at doing that as well, for example, for freelancers or contractors who don't have an employment relationship, or folks who are, retired or not working. We are looking at ways to do that. Excellent. Well, maybe we'll wrap it there. Again, thank you for joining, folks. Really encourage you to get in touch or book that consult if you're interested. Stay tuned for the recording to be sent out. And again, we'll thank Karen and the Oasis board and her team. We're excited to kind of partner here and help fill a need that we know a lot of Oasis members have. And thank you for attending today. Have a great rest of the day.